Our site was in UP Diliman. We're from LaSalle and it's very close to the city. UP, on the other hand, was more nature, more campus-like. And the first thing that caught my eye was the trees.
We don't have a lot of trees in Taft.
Once you go in, there's like in the road, like in the side of the road, there were trees that were like just hugging you as you enter. It was silent and I felt small. I felt out of place and very different from everyone there.
Taft's very different, and that was one thing we wanted to focus on. We wanted to focus on celebrating something different, something new, and something small.
It really made me feel different, and I more or less felt like a paralytic child in that sense, where when I adapted myself to the site, it was something that made me feel like I didn't belong. But in the end, I realized that it was very humbling experience, and I now appreciate more everything that is around me, and like realizing that there's more to life than LaSalle.
We chose the title Play Roots. We wanted to give the name of our project because we wanted to design a space that is like a playground, because we believe that being able to integrate a certain values in a certain community, we wanted it to be very subtle also, because we didn't want them to feel like they're so different, but at the same time we're not in denial that they do have something different, that they are different. But then again, everyone's unique in their own way, and we wanted to make use of play roots because kids love to play, and it's something that teachers, psychiatrists, that's the way they actually are able to teach children or train them in certain ways. It's actually through play or through games or through things that the kids don't know that they're actually like in a program, or they're actually undergoing a certain class or a certain training. And we wanted to be able to integrate it very subtly, because we believe that being natural and being organic about it is so important. They're gonna be more comfortable, more themselves, if they're just given a space for them to be who they wanna be or they're supposed to be.
So objectives of our project is to design a more productive and sustainable space for these children. And one thing that we wanted to include was the normalization and inclusion of the children in society, and that tackles their psychology, which will be explained in our concept. And we wanted to consider the strengths of UP as the site, with the culture and the people, and with that we were able to find a program that really suited the environment as well as the users, which are the paralytic children. And then we want to create Sublime. That was one special task that a goal that we wanted to achieve, because what is architecture if you don't feel anything once you enter the building? So our concept is the tree, and we felt that this was the most suitable concept for our project, because first of all, trees serve as foundation, and in our program we kind of dissected the tree and its purpose and function, and we created a program for the paralytic children that we want to incorporate in our design. The themes in this particular program are first inclusion, which is the normalization and early intervention for these kids as they grow up, which serves as the foundation or the roots in the tree. Second is the productivity and sustainability, which we want to incorporate the social, financial, environmental, and cultural aspect of this sustainability. Next is the subliminal effect, which we as designers for kids, we have to create a space that is stimulating, that captivates them, and that keeps them happy and energized and excited about being in our space. And the next is the pod design, which we used for the interiors of our design, which is the difference of one activity or space area to another and creating that transition between the two, and finding out which space suits best together, or the connection between those two spaces and activities. We came up with the slogan, or we can kind of call it like a thesis, which are first the branches. The branches is where you go. The trunk is how you get there. Roots is what you bring when you get there. So this is basically like our program for the kids. We want to be that foundation, the roots, which is what they bring wherever they go in the future. The branches, their future, us helping them get to their future. And the trunk is how we early intervention for these kids to prepare them for their future. Our concept, our thesis statement is celebrate being small, different, and new, which means it's kind of a double meaning. Small, different, and new is how we felt when we entered UP, which is the site in our site analysis, and small, different, and new is also how these kids feel in a society. So we were able to connect two together and formulate a solution to this problem, to this thesis. So our main target is the psychology and the subconscious of the paralytic children. We want to build a community or a support group for these children. So basically our program was derived from the tree, where we want to help these kids branch out to more opportunities in their future. Because usually these kids, they grow up with negative environment and with so much judgment and discrimination that once they get to the age, like their adolescent age, they feel like they're useless, they're hopeless. So this is the psychology part of their disability, and we want to change that. We want to help them feel like they can do anything they want, just like how people with two legs that can walk feel like.
Asked to design a space for paralytic kids. That was one of the things we wanted to touch on. We wanted to touch on the psychological side and how we can encourage the kids that them being different, it's not a weakness, but it's actually a strength, that they can focus on other things, they can focus on other talents, they can focus on helping in certain ways. Not everyone goes through what they go through, and not everyone can overcome that. We want to be able to create a community that helps them, overcome these things. It's just like a support group that helps them go through this. And that's why we also have we have spaces also where parents can converge, parents of other paralytic kids, so they can help each other. It's really all about being able to give them a community that they can encourage each other, that they feel at home, that they feel like they have people they can talk to, they have mentors, they have people who, like adults who have been paralytic for quite some time, and that they are there living their dream, they're there being an influence in their respective industry, and we have them speak life into the children. We have people who come in and tell them that they can do it, and that they can make a difference, and that they can be who they dream to be. So when we were in UP, we were looking for a site, and we interviewed a lot of people, and we actually asked if there was a place, like if there was a place in UP that was a center or a space for paralytic kids, where would it be? And how would UP students or the UP community interact with this certain space? So what happened was, a lot of them actually encouraged us to get the space, the existing daycare, that playground area, which is very near the School of Architecture. And they said it's a very good space because it's actually beside the existing daycare. And when we got to the space, it was very slopey and it was pretty hard, a lot of trees and everything, but we believed it was something that we can work with. It was something very organic and very real, and we don't have to take out all the trees, we don't have to like new landscape in the slope or anything like that, but we believe that we can actually work with a certain space instead of looking at the weakness, using it as a strength. We studied the ECOT and the Talkie routes of UP, the existing ones. Our site actually doesn't follow the exact route of a Talkie ECOT route. So what we did was we kind of modified the route, adding certain roads part of the route, and we actually consider the transportation because especially those in wheelchairs, especially the PWD, they'll have a hard time using the jeepney. When we were researching, we found actually this transportation by a student. A student designed it and actually won first place. And we were looking at it. It was such a genius design because it was kind of like a shuttle for those in wheelchairs. So you can see that the chairs actually are foldable, and you can actually fold them up so the wheelchair can come in, or you can have them unfolded so you can sit. And we're thinking of making the design very part of the UP culture. So making this design look more like an ECOT or a Talkie jeep. So in our space program, we classified the spaces on a spectrum from the private to public, because just like in our concept of trees, we believe that we are able to make an impact in the lives of the kids when it's very foundational, because when they're very young, we're able to teach them certain values. That's when their character, personality is able to form, and that's when their values are instilled, and they have that foundation. So in those private spaces, we have like what Gab was saying, like these mentors, these people who speak into their lives and into every aspect, into the emotional and the deep side where their roots, starting from their roots. And so we wanted to incorporate that in our design. So we were able to do that in the private spaces of the office and the clinic, and that's where they have like their own counseling and their meetups with their parents and counselor and kid and parents. It's very small and very it's a bit more intimate compared to the other spaces. Then the semi-private is actually the indoor open space and the speaker hall or the multi-purpose hall. This is where other programs that we have, like art clinic, music, like a music class, or like just different clinics that we have that they can learn to discover what they like or what they're good at. And that's semi-private space. This is more for where the kids, other paralytic kids, can get to know other paralytic kids, and they can also get to know also different speakers, those who are teaching different kinds of sports, different kinds of classes, lessons, cooking, baking, all these other things. And then later on it moves on to the public space. The public space is very open, and because like a tree, we want them to be able to branch out. Like we believe that they're not going to be with us forever, but we have to help them transition into a world where they're going to be, they're actually going to be part of the world. They're actually going to be out there and interacting with the rest of the world. And so that is our spaces like lounge, outdoor space, CAF, parking. And this is where actually a lot of UP students can come and visit and interact with the kids. We made the CAF actually one of the features, one of the interesting features, because we want that to be one of the prominent designs that they'll see. And because it's right beside the road, that when they pass by, well, let's eat there. The food's good or the place is nice, so it's like a hangout place where they can get to know everyone. And I think it'll be good because Gab was talking about how like the kids can actually give back, because we want to also teach them that they have something to offer, that they can always give back. That just because they're in a certain situation doesn't mean they can't help others, because everyone has something to offer. And so they can even give back when it comes to the kitchen, when it comes to serving in the cafeteria. It's kind of like community service. How our design process went was, we actually first we deconstructed our concept, and we figured out our spaces based on the programs that we wanted to, the activities that we wanted to promote, the activities that we wanted to encourage the kids to have in this space. And because we know that it needs to be very inclusive, especially to the area, to UP, we wanted to make sure that we are able to integrate with the students, because when we researched, when we were asking other students from UP, they were saying how if we have a Center for Paralytic Kids, it's actually good because student organizations will actually hold events of visiting them, or just having like their exhibit there or talks there, so they can be able to integrate with the kids. And because of all our research and our interviewing and deconstructing our concept of the tree and of roots and of the spaces, and coming up with the forms based on the function of each space, we were able to come up with when it comes to material, when it comes to the deconstruction of the container van, we were able to come up with a space that it's not completely different, because it's a very landscapey, slopey design, that our structures actually seem like they're apart, but they also seem like they're very, very connected to each other. And we wanted to make sure that these spaces can be seen that they are connected to each other, that even if their functions are very different, the flow of people will be very easy because of the relationship between one structure to another. And we were able to integrate this through the design, how certain materials used in one structure will be the same in the others, and how certain louvers, certain shapes and certain curves will be used, certain roofs will be used for different for the surrounding structures. And this is how we were able to come up with a design. And based on the slope, we had to come up with a scale model. At first we had to come up with a scale model so we can visualize the slope, so we can visualize the entire site. And from there we were able to visualize it with our spaces, with our coming up with 90 container vans and stacking them up, tearing them apart, opening up the box, moving the boards, moving the walls, and just being able to find a form, find a design, find the best circulation, the best flow of people based on the function of spaces. And our design for the cafeteria, it's actually something that, I mean, you see the container vans and it's in one portion of the CAF, and then you can see how in the other sides of the cafeteria it kind of branches out and the materials start to change. The materials start becoming glass and other materials, and you can see how it kind of deconstructs in a way. Just like how when you look at the trees and you look up, you can see that the trunk is very solid, but as you look up to the branches, it starts to blend and starts to deconstruct in the sky. And that's the same thing with the cafeteria. Actually, that's the same thing in the design for the roof of the whole thing. How like when you look up, there's that deconstructive feeling. We wanted it very open, so a lot of students can come in. It's very, when it comes to building technology, it's very open-aired, so it's very sustainable. It's not air-conditioned or anything like that, but we made use of the circulation of the air. You can see how we're able to manipulate the wind and the sun.
Okay, so the indoor space, which is the kind of the center of our whole project, is where the kids stay. So basically we had to create a space that is open, that accommodates the wheelchairs, and that is very accessible at every point. So we wanted to be so open that they wouldn't feel that they're in a center, that the children would feel that they're actually just going to a friend's house or just playing in a space, which we designed in a way that we wanted it to have little nooks, art area, a lot of just free space for them to go around and for them to socialize, for them to be able to do all the activities that we prepared for them in this program, which is basically kind of like a youth program that, if you would notice, there are some youth programs that make you feel like you don't even know what you're going there for. You don't know what it is. All you know is that you just want to go there because you have friends, you have the liberty to explore, be artistic. We designed this area in a way that it's colorful. It has a lot of things that they could play with. That we use the senses, which is touch. The way that we chose different textures for the kids, because as we interviewed people about early childhood education, we learned that they learn best with touch, which is different different textures, and with vision, visuals, which is the different colors, the different shapes, the different lighting. And so we kind of placed everything together and created this space that creates unlimited activities. It's just an open space.
For our multi-purpose hall, we designed it in a way that it's very bare, because it is a space that you can do anything in that space. We want to mainly focus on using it for speakers, having speakers over for a bigger crowd, and this is why this is also near the public restroom. And in our design, it's very, you can see how we made use of the container vans, the shape of the container vans, but we broke apart the material, how it's not completely container van, how we were able to space the material into different parts of the multi-purpose hall, because we want to show the integration, how we are able to integrate and be inclusive with the rest of the other designs, with the rest of the other materials that we want to use, the other building technology, because a container van itself is not something that is that can exactly blend in with the environment. It's our goal for us to use the strength. So the strength of the container van, we made use of it. It hides certain parts. It keeps certain parts private, but we made use also of other things like glass and steel, other materials that are able to complement the container van.
So we also provided office, or the admin area, where parents can do consultation, because we believe that part of these kids' development in their early stages is the parents, and how the parents learn to cope and feel about the child. If they're negative, then the child becomes a negative person. But if they know how to deal with this situation, or if they know how to help in the learning experience and development of the child, then the child would have a more positive and more progressive development in the later years. So we created a space just for consultation, one-on-one with the parents and the admins and the facilitators that would help these children in the development of the whole program. So we also created clinic, which is therapy for these children, because when you deal with special kinds of spaces, you have to be sure about the health also and the medical development of these children. So we provided a clinic that has nurses that are licensed medical representatives that be it like physical therapy or occupational therapy, that will help the child, that will help mold the child in the overall development, which is very important aside from just the activities and the learning. The medical therapy is also very important. The overall design in our project is very fluid and very curvy and very playful, because although we were constricted with the limitation of having container vans as the material for the closed areas, we also wanted to make it fun, and the experience of the child once they use the space, it was very important to us. So being in a slopey area, which our site clearly has, we wanted to follow the curves and the shapes and make it as fluid and as organic as we could. So we have this roof detail which covers the whole, almost the whole of the area, and it's very curvy, it's very abstract in a way that it also relates to our concept, which is the tree and how it branches out and it kind of like hugs everything that it is on top of. So it creates shade, it creates visually pleasing for it is visually pleasing for the children. And we also wanted it to be kind of like a playground slash like a tree house, that this kind of roof detail that we created, it makes the children feel small, but it also gives that sublime effect because it's high ceiling, and once they look up they can just see through it because it's made of like glass and with a framework that creates different shapes. So with the shadows that it will cast, and with the see-through, with it being see-through, like you can see the sky, but then of course a purpose is also for rain or to be a shade for the kids while they play in the open area. So the roof detail was one of the things that we really wanted to concentrate on, because it is the connecting factor to all of the buildings that we created. And so with the rest of the spaces, we kind of made it like landscape, and we built around the trees that were in the area because we didn't want to cut any of the trees. So this way we built ramps around, which is accessible like from one building to another, and that was the accessibility part of our design. So part of the design is the ramps, which connects and serves as the accessibility part of the whole design. Like without these ramps that we created across the whole area, it wouldn't be accessible to go from one building to another. So we took the shape of the slope and converted it into ramps that are usable for these children to just go from one place to another. So it's very open, and they could just it's really free. Like it gives you the freedom to be able to move around when these kids feel like they can't move so much because they are bounded by the wheelchair. But with our design, it being so playful and curvy, that it makes it an experience to be able to go through from the cafeteria to the clinic, or the clinic to the indoor area. Like it's like you're skateboarding like across the whole thing, which made it really fun and interactive for the users. Which we said, we wanted to captivate and to make it interesting for them, because kids have short attention spans, right? So like with this, they can feel like they're always experiencing new experiences, and they're just by crossing one building to another, it's already an experience for them and an activity on its own for them. So that was a big part of our design as well.